Saturday. Let's kick it over to this conversation. All right, we're pleased to be joined by Cody McClure. Of course, he's the host of Talk Sports, Fox Sports Knoxville. But in my heart, he'll always be known as the original co-host of that SEC podcast. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. It's good to be with you, Mike. Good to be back on the podcast. I mean, for the first time in 4 years, 5 years? How long you been doing this thing now?
Yeah, I think the first season was 2018, and then because the only thing I really remember those, and not even of those days, to be honest with you, but the following season, Joe Burrow and undefeated LSU. So that was 2019. So yeah, we've been doing this a good while, and it took a while to take off, but it's been a wild ride for sure, and you're certainly a part of it.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. I mean, the first season you and I did it. It was pretty, just we just kind of got a couple of these blue snowball mics, or at least that's what I had, and just you just kind of patch it through the computer and do a little talking, and it seems like it has definitely evolved. You've got a whole professional logo back there, I see, and I see all your graphics and everything. So glad to see you growing this thing, and it is cool to say I could at least be a part of it just for a little while.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't wait for the lawsuit. But let's, the reason I have you on, of course, big game, huge game, game of the week, game of the year, potentially in the SEC, Alabama coming to Tennessee. Can you just provide for those not in Knoxville, just the buzz around town? I mean, is it comparable to Florida, or is this on a different level?
It's a different level. The only way I can describe the buzz in town is just consistent. I mean, it has not let up since the second half of the LSU game. It's just I know a lot of people are like me. So basically for me, I've just been scrolling Twitter. You know that thing on your phone that shows you like the screen time, and
Yeah.
I mean, I have been looking at Twitter an unhealthy amount. I've been watching coverage on TV an unhealthy amount, watching Feinbaum and all that stuff. I mean, it is the biggest game in Neyland Stadium, Mike, in 25 years. It's a quarter century. I think the '98 Florida game. I mean, it was number 6 versus number 2, right? So you haven't had a matchup of this magnitude since then. There's a couple that come to mind that were big. I thought of, say, '04 Florida, '06 Florida, 2016 Florida. But I mean, that's not even rankings wise. That wasn't even close. '04 Auburn was big, but this to me seems like a different level. I mean, it's the third Saturday in October, and the buzz has been consistent since the second half of the LSU game. I don't think it's let up. And I think a lot of people are like me. They're just like this whole week, it just kind of seems like we're going through the motions trying to get to Saturday. And that's all that matters to anyone in Knoxville this week.
Right. Yeah, and I can attest to that. I've been trying all week to lock up tickets. I mean, it's impossible to get a ticket to this thing unless you want to pay an arm and a leg. But, it's interesting. Cody, Tennessee fans have always got it in their head that ESPN hates them and, they're going to trash them and all this. And for good reason. There's certainly people in the media that seem to live to trash Tennessee. But what does it say about the program and everything being built there in the Vols chances on Saturday that here we are, second time in 4 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, that college game day, and now SEC Nation as well coming to Knoxville. Does that do anything for the Tennessee fan base to feel like, hey, this team's getting respect nationally?
I think people can feel it. I think you've seen these. I saw Barrett Sallee for one. He picked Tennessee to beat Alabama. Paul Feinbaum, I saw where he said, basically if Bryce Young doesn't play, Alabama's going to lose. I think people are feeling the respect. I think you can tell that it's a different Tennessee team. It's a team that comes out and has an abundance of confidence. You can just see them on the field. I believe it was it Reese Davis that said that Tennessee is just oozing confidence. I might be misquoting somebody, but somebody said that. Somebody important. They were definitely important. Um, but I think Tennessee's getting a ton of respect right now. I don't. I think people look at this as a game that Tennessee can win. Some people think a game Tennessee should be favored in. I don't see how you look at this offense with Hooker and these receivers. I mean, you've got 3 NFL level receivers out there. I don't know how you look at that offense and not think Tennessee has a chance to win. Now, are there questions? Sure. Does Bryce Young play? Will he shred Tennessee's secondary? I mean, I know the first part of that Arkansas game, it looked like he was going to throw for 800 yards, and I think Tennessee's better defensively than Arkansas is, but at the same time, you still do have those questions. But Vegas, I think, they think Tennessee's going to be close. It opened a little higher than I thought it would. My guess is they thought maybe Bryce Young was expected to play. That line's gone down, kind of staying at 7.5 right now. So I think the respect factor is huge, and I think people can feel it around Knoxville.
Now that being said, Cody, I mean, this Alabama's in a rare position, excuse me, where they're still the favorites, of course, but like you said, a lot of people like Tennessee, particularly with the spread. Does that
Yeah.
concern you? That because hell, Alabama, I mean, you count them out, they come out and they beat your ass by 28 points.
Well, and another thing about this Alabama is, we're going on 2 years now that Alabama has shown some vulnerabilities. I mean, how many close games were they in last year, Mike? I mean, you look at Auburn last year. I think LSU and Arkansas were fairly close. A&M beat them, so Florida was another one last year. And then coming into this year, obviously Texas and Texas A&M both had chances to beat this team. So that's not to say Alabama's not great. I mean, it's still Nick Saban. It's still Bryce Young if he plays, Heisman winner. It's still one of the top 5 teams in the country. I just think coming into Neyland Stadium, this is going to be an extremely difficult road game. They did have one earlier this year at Texas, but I think this is going to be a whole different level, Mike. I think it's going to be louder than the Florida game, and I expect it to be one of the biggest college football games of the year, if not the biggest. I mean, I think to this point, it may be the biggest. Can Tennessee handle that pressure? Teams of the past could not. A Butch Jones coach team would falter in a situation like this, or at least, get a lead and blow it, get up by 21 or so, and then, blow a 3-score lead. But I'm telling you, if Tennessee gets up 21 in this game, I could see them running away. I mean, I don't think they're going to run away with it. I'm trying to still be rational, despite the fan in me that says Tennessee is really the better team in this game. I think it's a little bit of a weaker Alabama team, and I think Tennessee's the strongest they've ever been. I think Alabama's due for a loss to Tennessee right here.
What's the latest buzz that you may be hearing about Cedric Tillman? Do you anticipate him playing in this game?
I think he's going to play. I think just from what I've heard, I mean, I think he's going to play. That was the whole idea of him not playing the LSU game, was basically so that he could continue to take that extra time. That surgery he had was a minor surgery. So I think he's going to suit up on Saturday. Him coming back to this offense, I mean, it gives you 3 guys that, and I'm not even mentioning Ramel Keaton and the tight ends who are also capable. This is an offense that they spread the field wide and they've got weapons everywhere. I think as long as the offensive line can protect Hooker, now that's going to be the key to me, is Hooker having the time to go through those progressions and throw. I think the receivers are going to be open. I really do. They're going to be there, and I think Hooker will make the throws, but it's, can you keep Will Anderson out of his face? That's going to be a key to the game for sure.
Right, and Dallas Turner and all the beasts they got over there.
Yeah.
Barmore's a great linebacker. But speaking of that, I mean, kind of in a similar tone, I mean, I think a lot of people that are just casual Tennessee fans or just SEC fans, they don't realize that Tennessee loves to run the ball, and their offense doesn't reach its full potential unless it's running like it did against LSU. Do you think Tennessee, which I think is at a disadvantage on the line of scrimmage going up against Alabama, do you think they'll be able to run on the Crimson Tide?
Well, I thought LSU had a pretty good front. That was, an expectation that LSU might be able to win the game at the line of scrimmage, and I thought Tennessee really handled their business there. Now, Alabama is a different animal. Alabama is still Alabama talent wise, but numbers wise, are they? You know what I mean? Like they have allowed a lot of yards. These Nick Saban defenses now are not what they used to be. I think Tennessee will be able to run the ball. I'm sure that'll be a key for Alabama is trying to stop the run, but you certainly don't want to go one dimensional. I think Jabari Small and Tennessee's offensive line are up for the challenge. Another thing about Tennessee, is the offensive line is veteran laden. I mean, these are guys who are all pretty much juniors and seniors, other than Mincy, and he's one of the best players on that offensive line. He happens to be one of the younger guys, but they've got experience, they've got cohesion. To me, that's the biggest thing with an offensive line is have they played together? Do they know their assignments? Can they trust the guy next to them? And I think that Tennessee's offensive line has that. I think obviously they've got the physical capabilities. Alabama probably going to be the most talented front they've faced, but I'm confident that Tennessee will be able to establish the run in this game. It's all about getting that first down. That's the thing they always say about Tennessee. You get that first one, and it's a lot of times smooth sailing from there.
Right. Do you take anything away from last year's game, Cody? I mean, I know the final score was pretty lopsided, but in the second half, Tennessee was playing with Alabama. They were scoring on them, and they had a lead, I believe, in the third quarter. So, do you think that gives Tennessee confidence that they can hang with Alabama? I mean, last year depth was an issue, and it was obviously in Tuscaloosa. Now it's in Knoxville. Do you think that gives the team a little added confidence that they can hang with Alabama?
I think it does. I think they're familiar with Alabama, and most all the guys that'll be playing for Tennessee Saturday played in that game last year. So now the final score in that one did not look good, but like you said, I mean, it was still hotly contested going into the fourth quarter. It got away from them, kind of like it reminded me of this year's Arkansas Alabama game. Really, it got close there for a minute, and then it got away. And Alabama, to their credit, they do have the ability to do that to you if that offense is running. I'm a little worried about Jahmyr Gibbs. That guy. I mean, he's a stud. He can break it open at any point on you. So you got to be able to tackle. Now Tennessee's run defense has actually been pretty good. They've got one of the better run defenses in the conference. It's all about for Alabama to me whether or not Bryce Young plays. And if he plays, I think he will make a lot of good passes. Although I don't think his receivers are as good this year. I don't think they're as good as Tennessee's. If it ends up being one of those shootout kind of games, I like Tennessee in a game like that. I just think Tennessee's offense is better all around.
All right, the real question I wanted to ask you, Cody, how many alcoholic beverages will you be consuming on Saturday?
I will be in the sauce, Mike. There's no doubt about it. I will be in the sauce. I was supposed to be working the bar myself on Saturday, and I managed to get a girl to cover that. There's no way I could work this game. So I'm going to be boozing for sure. I think we've got a couple of tailgates we're going to stop by. There's always people on campus, and they're doing a big watch party. I'm kind of like you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into this game. I'm still hopeful I can find a way into the stadium, but I really don't see it. I can't really throw $500 at this, although it may be the greatest game day experience ever. Here's the problem though, Mike. Let's say you take the 500, you take that small 500 and you spend it on a ticket to go in Neyland Stadium. And then the off chance that, Nick Saban happens to be the greatest coach that's ever done it. And maybe he comes in and spanks you again. So I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but I would be sick if I paid that much money for a ticket and Tennessee didn't win. So I'm confident, but I don't know if I'm quite that confident. Right. But yeah, the booze will be flowing, my friend. Are you going to try to make it over?
I mean, I'm trying to get my way in there, like you said. One of my best friends in the world, Cody, he's got season tickets. I offered him $500 just to sit with him. I mean, the ticket's already paid for, and he told me, I think I can get $700 for it. And I'm like, my God.
And he's one of your best friends?
Yeah.
Oh man, I saw some guy tweeted earlier he wouldn't give his Alabama ticket away for $10,000. So It's going to be a pretty penny to get in there for sure. You know, those seats they always show that's like beside the press box where you can only see 10 yards to the end zone.
Yeah.
90 yards of the field are blocked there. I think I would actually sit in that seat if I could get it for under 200.
All right, final thing for you, Cody. Really appreciate your time. What's moment of truth here? What's your prediction for the game? Does Tennessee finally snap the streak, or does Alabama do what Alabama does, get your hopes up, and then rips your hearts out in the most painful way imaginable?
I would be lying, Mike, if I said I wasn't a little bit hesitant to pick Tennessee just because I know the history. I know Nick Saban's 15-0 against the Vols. I've had to call Nick Saban daddy more times than I can recall. I mean, he does scare me. All right. I'm not going to lie. He scares me. The thing is, I remember sitting in the stadium in 2016, Tennessee's, fringe top 10 team. They're right there at whatever they were at the time, 5-1, 6-1. Alabama comes in here and they beat you 49-10. And I'll never forget the feeling walking out of that stadium that day, like humbled, like, okay, there's levels to this. Maybe we were good, but not that good. There's no doubt that Alabama has more talent all around on its roster than Tennessee. I just think that Hendon Hooker is special. I think Tennessee has the makings of a 2019 type LSU team. That if you look at that LSU team in 2019, they didn't have a great secondary either. They weren't known for their great defense. They gave up 38 points to Vanderbilt that year, for God's sake. Tennessee has special receivers. I think they've got 3 NFL caliber receivers. To me, like I said, Mike, it comes down to the offensive line. But I am going to put my faith and my confidence in Tennessee's veteran-laden offensive line. If they can block Alabama, I think that Hooker, Tillman, Hyatt, Jabari Small, and Brew McCoy will beat Alabama. I'm picking Tennessee to win the game. Now, whether or not Bryce Young plays, I'm still picking Tennessee. It's either going to be a 41-38 kind of game if he plays, or if he doesn't play, I'm going to take Tennessee by at least 10 points.
Wow, by 10 points.
Milrow, I think Tennessee's 10 points better.
Ooh. Yeah, well, you were definitely drinking that orange Kool-Aid, and I don't mind at all, Cody. So before you go,
Give me a couple more days, and that orange Kool-Aid will have lots of vodka in it, too.
Before you go, tell the audience, where's the best place to find all your work?
Well, that's a good question. I'm on Twitter at Cody 2_ McClure, MCCLURE. We do the show every day from noon to 3 on Fox Sports Knoxville. So if you're familiar with that, we're on noon to 3 Eastern time. If you tune into our show, you'll probably either really like it or really not like it. So that tends to be the people that listen to us. Either you like it or you're like, I would rather listen to paint dry. So,
That man, what a pitch right there. But hey, I can't thank you enough, my friend. Thank you for joining the show once again. It was an honor to have you back on.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me on, and congratulations to everything you're doing, man. It's you're really building this thing. So I hope you'll keep having me on, and we'll keep having you on, and let's grow together in this dangerous media world.
Ooh, boy. I mean, I know you like to hear that, didn't you?
Oh, I thought I was a big orange homer, huh? No, it's been a while since I heard old Cody. In fact, the first time I ever listened to your podcast, Mike, I think you called it something different back then. But I had to go up there and I was one of your first reviews, 5-star review. I was like, oh, Mike and Cody are killing it, So I never got a koozie for that now that I think about it.
I'll be sure to mail one your way. How's that?
Oh, man. But I'll tell you, he gets me pumped up. I am a Tennessee homer, and the fact, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We got Alabama fans coming out saying, well, this game really doesn't matter, and that's just like what you want to hear as a Tennessee fan. But man, I've been hurt so many times for the last 20 something years, brother. It's just, I don't want to let them in, you know. It's like a bad relationship. You have one of those, you just like, I'm just not ready for the dating scene right now, you know. I'm the same way with this. I want to embrace them, and I want to say, you know, this is the year, this is the one, you know, but man, it may come back and bite me. So, but all things are leaning our way right now, and I'm all for it. So give me that rat poison, Mike.
Well, hey, buddy, I think that's a perfect place to end this one. You got anything else before we hop off the line?
No, great interviews. Appreciate them taking their time to jump on the pod here. And Mike, appreciate everything you've done to get us to this point and grow us the way we are. You know, Cody hit the nail on the head. You know, you guys started out this thing in your mom's basement, I think, and now it's actually grown to a pretty decent little show, and we couldn't have done that without your effort and your vision. So I appreciate everything you've done to make this podcast possible, and if you are